I got into a huge and terrible argument with a good friend the other day. And the thing is that both of us aren't really that type of person. Neither of us have these clashes in our day-to-day lives. We don't have dramatic interactions often, but it was a full-out fight and it was horrible. We had gone for a walk through some beautiful Douglas fir trees. We were stopped on a bridge over a creek, just having a chat, and the conversation had escalated and escalated and escalated and escalated, and then there was silence, and then someone would try to attempt something, and it would escalate, and I remember thinking so badly, I just really wanted out of there, and my friend finally just said, I think we should turn back, and I said, perfect, thank you. Luckily, we're both people who I'd say have a higher level of emotional intelligence, and, we tried to resolve things on the walk back and started arguing again, but then we also had a really amazing experience where, we finally just realized what just happened there and what were we really arguing about. Eventually we realized that we were having two different arguments and we weren't even really reacting to each other. We were reacting to what that person represented to us based on our previous experiences in life. This was really beneficial because I feel like we really learned a lot about each other and about ourselves, and we really kind of were able to just clear things out. It's almost like these current events had brought up these feelings inside of us, this general malaise, this kind of stew of negative feelings that, you don't really know what you're thinking or what you're feeling, but they're just kind of there under the surface waiting for something to strike off. We were really lucky that we got to experience that with each other and move on from those feelings and learn. That being said, I don't know if I'll be able to forget some of the things this person said during that time. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to get over knowing that this person holds certain opinions. So that brings up a whole set of questions for me. Things that maybe you're thinking about lately, like, can I be friends with someone who holds different opinions from me? Maybe I can't be in a relationship with someone like that, but could I be friends with someone like that? Could I tolerate working with someone like that? And then you also have to ask yourself, well, maybe I do have friends who have those opinions and I just don't know it, right? Because I had no idea. I never would have thought that this person would hold the opinions that this person held. I never would have thought prior to that discussion. So you have to ask yourself, am I going to condemn the people whose opinions I know that don't agree with me? Am I going to force opinions from people who don't want to talk about things? But there's a side of me that just says, is this a good human being? Is this a good person? Is this person a good friend who has an opinion you don't agree with? And if you don't ever talk about that opinion, you can go on being their friend and it's perfectly fine. Have any of you heard the joke, what was Jesus Christ's greatest miracle? Having 12 friends in his 30s. I feel like I can't afford to lose more friends. That being said, I've always had high standards for the people that I associate with, and that has worked out well for me. It's been difficult. There have been times where, you learn about someone's morals. I used to be friends with someone who was cheating in their marriage, and I said, well, that's a hard line for me. I don't want to be friends with someone who does that. So you're going to find yourself asking these kind of questions. I have this wonderful book from the library, Emily Post's Etiquette. This is the 19th edition. How to approach conversations with someone who deeply disagrees with you. Determine the right time to engage in a debate or back away. Voice your opinions respectfully. So I was like, yes, I need to read that. But don't get me wrong, I'm reading the whole thing. It only has a very small paragraph on this in the entire book, but I will read it to you. So at first we had the scamdemic, the pandemic, and you have the people who are wearing the masks and the people who have no masks. Oh my God. I remember thinking how it was so strange that people think it's a good idea to have people from all different religions and values and belief systems crammed in living together. I always thought that was very weird. Now we're going to have people who believe in no masks and people who believe in wearing the masks trying to interact together. And the problem is that the people who believe in the masks actually feel like your decision to choose something else is going to potentially affect them and or kill them and their family members. That's really serious. So the levels of stress, animosity, annoyance, can see them just going through the roof on everybody. Masks versus no masks. Then it became racism. It became black people versus the cops. And it became white people versus black people. Then it became non-racists versus racists, or people who haven't declared that they're not racist. Therefore, they're also racist. So I have made a few vows to myself to get through this time that I thought I would share with you guys. And I actually made these vows to myself when this whole thing first started. The first vow I actually made to myself at the beginning of the pandemic, when I could see that stress and tension were extremely high. I could feel my level of annoyance with other people going up. I remember seeing, an old man in the produce department lick his fingers so he could open up a produce bag and then put his mask back on, licking his fingers, and he was pushing a cart. I remember just looking at humans and thinking, if the future of our survival depends on the hygiene of the average human, we're dead. But what I decided was that if I'm in a situation where things are escalating, emotions are running high, I will dial down. So the further high they get, the more down I will get. Now, this is going to take work. And I'm not recommending that if someone is threatening your life or, being abusive to you, to cower down towards them. All I'm saying is that if someone kind of cuts you off in a lineup, or, someone cuts you off in traffic, or if someone, you reach to grab something and they grab it ahead of you, don't fight, don't get angry, don't get upset, chill out. Imagine that person is God teaching you humility. Now, I wish this had happened in this fight with that friend of mine. I think going forward, we will both kind of remember that interaction, and hopefully when we feel those feelings start to get up, when the conversation starts to pick up, we can really just take that moment to calm ourselves, to breathe, to dial things back down. The second thing that I'm doing is I've decided, and this is about the whole racial topic, with the current narrative, I'm seeing things that is bugging me. And I've also noticed, and I've heard other minority YouTubers talk about how, especially in Canada, talk about how when in the media the topic of racism is really high. Like when a black person gets killed by a cop and the topic of racism is really high, they'll notice that sometimes like white people in public will be like extra nice to them. And I already noticed this happening. I commented about it on Facebook, where you're just like walking down the street or something and a white person's coming towards you and they're like, hi. And I would think, oh, the sheep are watching way too much news again. They think that they have to act this way. I've decided I'm going to give everyone a pass on this topic. Everyone. No matter what the color of their skin, no matter what belief they have, I think I'm going to allow everyone to exist in their own reality. If someone wants to be extra nice to me because they feel guilty because of something they saw on the news, and they think that I represent whatever it is they saw on the news, and they want to be extra nice to me, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to think, hey, that's great. Someone was extra nice to me today. I'm not going to attempt to correct anyone or change anyone's opinion. My opinions have changed drastically over the past year, drastically. If you ever experience racism, it's because you brought it on yourself due to the law of attraction. Excuse me, white person? Yeah, you. Bow down. So we're all going to have to pardon each other, have grace for each other. Don't get me wrong, you're never going to get a message on my channel from me saying, oh, kumbaya, all humans need to come and work together, build a future together and not fight and get along. No. No. I have read too much of human history. I know too much about human brains and biology, but I do think that we can all be more responsible for how we show up in the world. We can't choose how other people behave, but we can choose how we respond to it. Agreeing to disagree. Even though the classic advice is never discuss politics or religion, our present society loves to talk about both. These subjects can stimulate lively conversation and debate. They can also stir deep-seated convictions with passionate proponents on opposing sides. Religion and politics top the conversational taboo list, with sex and money following right behind. Today's advice? Avoid those topics when you're at a social engagement. Your host has gone to some trouble to have a party or dinner, and your potential argument can be like a wet blanket on the affair. Keeping a disagreement from escalating into a war of words is essential to civil conversation. The trick is knowing when to agree to disagree. If you do find yourself in a discussion about a topic and it's getting heated, you can always say, well, we obviously don't agree on this one, and we may not change each other's minds. Maybe we should move on to something else, and then change the subject. Sometimes it's best to just drop the discussion altogether. When the sparks start to fly, voices are raised, you start talking over each other, or genuine anger erupts on either side, it's absolutely time to switch to another subject. Be willing to see the last word to an argument, to bring an argument to a halt. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much to those of you who have picked up my new book available on Amazon called Recollections, A Journey Through Therapy and Recovery. I am grateful that you're all here on this journey with me. Please remember to hit like on this video below and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.